There is a crushing feeling that makes you see that you haven't spent your time doing anything productive and instead wasted them on mindless addictions. Just like other days, staring at your phone at 2 a.m., doing nothing but scrolling for the last 3 hours, and your thumb is moving entirely on autopilot. Finally, you lock the screen and stare blankly up at the quiet, invisible ceiling. And right there, in the heavy silence of the dead night, a cold realization hits you in the chest. You just wasted a whole day. That is 24 hours you will never get back. Those were hours you explicitly promised yourself you would spend studying for your future. Minutes you could have used to take your dog for a walk. Seconds you could have committed to completing your chores. You could have been doing so many things better than what you actually did, but instead, you chose the screen. You chose to sit in your room, locked in a trance, playing video games you don't even enjoy anymore, scrolling through content you will forget in 5 seconds, and doing absolutely nothing. You took the lazy choice. You opted for the path that was the most convenient, the most accessible, and the easiest for your brain to process in the moment. It gave you a tiny, cheap sense of comfort for the short term. A lot of people go through life genuinely believing that time is abundant, infinite resource. We look at the calendar and think that tomorrow is a magical blank slate where our lazy self will suddenly transform into a disciplined version of ourselves. We tell ourselves that tomorrow we will change, that tomorrow we will execute perfectly, and that today doesn't matter. We believe that today you can do whatever you want, scroll as much as you want, and just coast along. And honestly, part of that is completely right. It is not fundamentally wrong to take a break. It is not a crime to rest. Life is genuinely exhausting. And when you are dealing with immense personal struggles or difficult circumstances, you need to give yourself breathing room. You need the space where you can rest, let your shoulders drop without pressure. Taking care of your mental state is necessary. But let's be completely honest with ourselves here. Let's strip away the nice sounding excuses just for a second. Most of the time, that is not what is actually happening in your life. You aren't resting, you aren't recovering. What is really happening is that you have gotten too comfortable with not even trying. Comfort and short term happiness have become the sole feelings that run your entire life. You have allowed your days to be dictated entirely by whatever feels easiest in the next 5 minutes. All because it's hard for you to admit a terrifying truth. Your life has already started. This isn't a rehearsal. This isn't a practice run where the scores don't count. The days you are burning right now are the actual bricks building the house that you will have to live in for the rest of your life. But because the reality is too heavy to face, your brain builds an incredibly clever illusion to protect yourself. You keep trying to tell yourself that you will eventually stop being lazy and that your habits are just a form of recovery from the stress you've encountered before. You look at your screen time, you look at your messy room, and you whisper a comforting lie to yourself to protect your feelings. But this is exactly where the trap starts. Your brain is a dopamine seeking machine, and it quickly figures out how to exploit your own excuses. Every single time you try to do something to reward yourself after a small amount of effort, you don't take a healthy break. You start craving for more. You tell yourself you'll just watch one video, just one cigarette, or just scroll for another 5 minutes. But your brain takes that quick hit of dopamine and instantly demands another. 1 hour turns into an afternoon. One wasted afternoon turns into a complete ruined day. One day turns into 2 days, and 2 days turn into three, and 3 days turn into a week. That's 7 days of just being controlled by an addiction you could have refused to do. It is a whole week of your life completely run by life wasting habits. It's easy to say that you can stop whenever you want. It's comforting to pretend that you are the master of your habits and that you can switch them off through sheer willpower whenever you feel like it. But in reality, you only ever stop when something forces you to stop. You only stop when something shocks you out of the trance. Is it really just programmed inside us to look for the negative habits that provide only temporary satisfaction and ruin our lives? Why does the human mind naturally gravitate toward the exact thing that destroy our long-term potential? In reality, it is completely normal to stick to these habits because we are still humans. We are biological creatures, and naturally, we look for what makes us feel easy and happy. Our brains are hardwired to seek rewards while conserving energy. However, our intense desire to do so completely makes us forget about the future and what really matters. You probably clicked on this video expecting some basic advice to make better use of your time by transforming your negative habits into positive ones. You want a quick fix, you want a simple hack, or a motivational speech that will permanently change your life without any friction. But keep in mind that simply hearing my advice will not entirely get rid of your tendencies to slide back into bad habits. Watching this video might give you a temporary burst of motivation, but that feeling will fade the moment you close this app. Listening to what I say will not matter at all unless you start internalizing and practicing it in the physical world. Based on experience, the true reason that you continue being lazy is that you surround yourself with too much temptation. It's not a lack of talent, and it isn't that you are fundamentally a broken person. The system of your life is simply rigged against you because of how you organize your space. You keep your phone close to you at all times. Everywhere you go, you have it in your pocket. During meals, your phone is sitting right at the table. Before sleeping, you keep your phone beside you. You make it so easy for yourself to reach out, tap the screen, and satisfy your craving. You cause yourself to fall into paralysis again and again. You're spoiling your own brain because every time a notification buzzes, you can't resist but press it. This does not apply only to digital addiction. This exact same concept happens with other addictions like smoking or eating too much junk food. But what if I tell you it is preventable? You only ever have to start with one easy step. Think about it. If you never purchase unhealthy food when you are at the grocery store, then you won't be able to consume them at home. If your kitchen cabinets are completely empty of chips, candy, or soda, then you won't eat them. When a late night craving hits, your natural laziness works in your favor. To get junk food, you would have to get dressed, get your keys, drive to the store, buy it, and drive back. Because that requires too much effort, you just drink a glass of water and go to sleep instead. Discipline is not about being able to time and plan whenever you can give into temptation and when you can stop it. It's not about having an unbreakable mind that can stare at a distraction all day and magically choose to ignore it. True discipline is always about controlling your environment. It is about being smart enough to design a room where the good choices are easy to make and the bad choices are incredibly difficult to execute. Look at your social environment as well. The people you surround yourself will act as a mirror for your own standards. Hanging out with people who like to smoke will probably make you a smoker over time, because smoking becomes the normal thing to do in that group. Going out with friends who like to gossip will inevitably make you gossip, because that is the center of your conversations. If your friend spends all their time complaining about their lives, playing games for 12 hours a day, or wasting their money on things they don't need, you will eventually copy their behavior. You will accept their low standards as your personal baseline. Conversely, if you surround yourself with positive elements, you will naturally develop positive habits without having to fight yourself every day. Having friends who consistently go to the gym will naturally influence you to start working out, simply because you want to be part of their conversation and share their lifestyle. Buying healthy food and keeping it on the counter will make you eat healthier because that is the most convenient option when you walk into the kitchen hungry. I've read numerous books about discipline, habits, and human psychology, and it is incredibly common for them to tell you that successful people have a habit of keeping their phones in another room before they sleep. They don't rely on superior willpower, they just understand how to control their environment. The reason for this strategy is that leaving their phone far away makes it significantly harder for them to scroll at night. When they are lying in bed and feel the sudden urge to check notifications, they face a big obstacle. They force themselves to physically stand up, walk out of bed, and grab it. And in a beautiful way, They utilize their own laziness to counter their temptation. That simple decision of refusing to get out of bed prevents them from grabbing their phone and scrolling for another 30 minutes. The energy required saves them from their own addiction. Always remember that the first step is always the hardest, but it is the most important. In this case, the essential first step is controlling your environment. But let's talk about what actually happens when you decide to take this step, because this is where most people get blindsided. The moment you try to stay away from these bad habits, the moment you take a day off from your addictions, you will experience a massive sense of emptiness. You will have this sort of void that you desperately want to fill. And for most people, that is the hardest part of the entire process. You will sit at your desk without your phone, or you will turn off video game consoles, and then suddenly, the room will feel completely silent and boring. Your mind will search for something to do. You will be aggressively searching for that quick hit of dopamine that your addictions used to give you so easily. Your brain is basically throwing a tantrum because you cut off its favorite supply of cheap energy. If you just try to sit there and do nothing while staring at a blank wall, using nothing but pure willpower to fight the silence, you will fail. You will eventually run back to your old habits just to fill the empty time. Instead of trying to completely block that energy, you need to learn how to divert it into something else healthy. You cannot leave the void empty. You have to fill it with a better alternative. Think about the very first day you try to quit a bad habit like smoking. You will feel this intense physical and mental void that you would want to fill immediately. For most people, the moment the stress hits, they will automatically try to reach for their pack of cigarettes out of pure instinct. But then they stop and say, "Oh, I'm not a smoker anymore. What do I do now?" Their hands feel empty, their mouths feel empty, and their mind is hyper-focused on the craving. What I could suggest to you is to find some sort of physical replacement for your unhealthy habit. You need to find something less degrading, something that will not sacrifice your health or your future just for a spark of temporary dopamine. For smokers, one classic and highly effective thing you could do is grab a lollipop every single time you think of smoking. Think about why this works so well. A lollipop does not give you nicotine, but it solves the behavioral side of the addiction. It gives your hands something to hold, it gives your mouth something to do, and it provides a small harmless burst of flavor to distract your brain. In a way, you are sort of gradually peeling off this bad habit by using similar, less unhealthy habits or mannerisms. You aren't fighting your cravings, you just found a loophole to keep yourself busy. If you feel an overwhelming wave of boredom or anxiety, don't sit there and let it crush you. Stand up, do 10 push-ups, walk around the house, or step outside and look at the sky for 2 minutes. You are taking this anxious energy and shifting it into a physical moment that burns off the stress. Doing this will slowly rewire your brain into thinking that you can actually survive, function, and feel calm without the need for these physical addictions anymore. You are training your nervous system to tolerate low stimulation environments. Instead of blocking that energy and treating yourself like a prisoner, you could divert it into something else, and that would give you something productive to do with your time instead of falling back into your old addictions. If you continue diverting this energy, replacing your bad habits with better, healthier choices day after day, you will eventually notice a massive transformation. You will wake up one morning and realize that you are completely a different person from who you were a few months ago. The constant brain fog will clear up, the random spikes of anxiety will fade away, and you will finally feel present in your own life. And not only that, but a strong, undeniable sense of control is something that you would notice from yourself every single day. The reality of your situation is completely up to you. The lessons have been processed by your brain. But as we established earlier, simply listening to my voice or agreeing with these concepts changes absolutely nothing in your physical reality. You cannot consume your way into self-improvement. You cannot watch a video about discipline and expect your life to magically transform while you remain completely passive. The moment this video ends, you are left alone with your actual choices. You can choose the first path, the easy, convenient route. You can leave your phone exactly where it is, keep your room exactly how it is, and slide right back into your comfortable digital trance. You can look at the ceiling again at 2 a.m. tomorrow and feel the exact same sickness of regret. Or you can choose the path of accountability. You can accept that your life has already started and that no one is coming to save you from your environment. You can physically stand up right now, pick up your phone, carry it out of your room, and realize that you can survive without these bad habits. The choice belongs entirely to you. You are the only person who has to live by the choices you make today. Stop watching other people play the game of life and start building a reality that is actually worth living.